Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Sounds impossible, right? But hidden among billions of ordinary pennies lies one specific coin that has stunned collectors and sparked a frenzy that most people still don't understand. Today we're diving deep into the mysterious and incredibly rare 2006 D1 cent coin, a coin so ordinary in appearance that you could overlook it without a second thought, yet under the right conditions, it has been whispered about as reaching values as high as $50 million in elite collector circles. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny with the potential to change your entire life, and the wildest part is that it may still be out there, sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer, jar, or even your own wallet right now. And before we go any further, make sure you stay with me until the end, because the next coin we'll uncover after this is even more shocking and has a story that takes rarity to another level entirely. But trust me, you don't want to miss how this one works first, because it sets the stage for everything that follows. Now let's get into why the 2006 penny has become such a legend, starting with its origin at the Denver Mint, where millions upon millions of pennies were struck that year, most of them completely normal, made of a copper-plated zinc composition just like modern cents, and designed with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Nothing flashy, nothing rare at first glance, but as history has shown us time and time again, it's not the design that creates value, it's the mistakes, the anomalies, and the stories behind them. And in 2006 something unusual happened during the minting process that created a handful of coins that were anything but ordinary. Experts believe that a small number of 2006 pennies were struck using experimental planchets or suffered from rare die errors that were never meant to leave the mint, and these errors can range from dramatic double strikes where the image appears duplicated and slightly shifted, to off-center strikes where the design is visibly misaligned, to even more mysterious cases where the coin shows an unusual metallic composition or weight that doesn't match standard specifications. And it's these anomalies that send collectors into a frenzy, because they represent something unique, something that shouldn't exist. And in the world of coin collecting, the rarer and more mysterious the error, the higher the value climbs. Now imagine this for a second: a regular person going about their day, buying a coffee, receiving change, and unknowingly getting one of these rare error coins back, tossing it into a jar without a second thought, while somewhere out there a collector would be willing to pay a life-changing amount for that exact piece. That's the kind of hidden treasure we're talking about. And it's why stories of people discovering valuable coins in the most unexpected places keep fueling the excitement around pieces like the 2006 penny. Over the years, there have been reports of rare specimens surfacing at auctions and private sales, coins that initially went unnoticed until a keen eye spotted something off, maybe a slight doubling in the lettering, an unusual shine, or a weight difference that didn't add up, and once authenticated, these coins quickly became the center of intense bidding wars, with collectors and investors alike recognizing that they weren't just buying a coin, they were buying a piece of minting history, a mistake frozen in time that could never be recreated. And here's where things get even more interesting, because the value of a coin like this isn't just about the error itself, it's about condition, rarity, and demand all colliding at the same moment. A pristine example with a dramatic error can skyrocket in value compared to a worn one, and when only a handful are known to exist, the competition becomes fierce, pushing prices into territory that seems almost unreal for something that started as a simple penny. But let me remind you again, don't go anywhere, because what's coming next after this coin is even more unbelievable, a coin that takes everything we're talking about and turns it up to another level. And if you think this 2060 penny is rare, just wait until you hear what's next. But first you need to understand how to actually spot one of these hidden gems, because that's the real game changer. So how do you know if you have one? The first step is to check the mint mark. Look for that small D beneath the date indicating it was struck in Denver. Then examine the coin closely under good lighting or even a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the letters or numbers. Check if the design seems off-center. Pay attention to the texture and color, because anything that looks unusual compared to a normal penny could be a clue. And if something feels off, don't ignore it, because that tiny detail could be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth a fortune. Another important factor is weight. A standard penny from that era should weigh around 2.5 grams, so if you have access to a precise scale and notice a difference, that could indicate a planchet error or composition anomaly, and those are exactly the kinds of details collectors are hunting for. And here's the thing most people miss: they assume rare coins are old, ancient, or made of precious metals. But the truth is some of the most valuable coins are modern and made of everyday materials. It's the story and the rarity that create the value, not just the age or metal. And as you're checking your coins, keep this thought in mind: somewhere out there someone has already found one of these and changed their life, and there's no reason it couldn't happen again, maybe even to you, because coins like this don't announce themselves. They hide in plain sight waiting for the right person to notice them, and that's what makes this hunt so exciting. It's not just about money, it's about discovery, about uncovering something extraordinary in the most ordinary place. Now before we wrap up this incredible story, I want you to really think about this. How many coins have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many opportunities might have slipped by simply because you didn't know what to look for? And that's exactly why you need to stay tuned, because the next coin we're about to dive into makes this one look almost predictable. Its story is even more shocking, its rarity even more intense, and the way it ended up in circulation will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about coins. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought this 2060 penny was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2004 1 cent USA coin worth 60 millions. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, a coin so deceptively simple that most people wouldn't even bother to look twice. Yet hidden within its tiny copper surface lies a story that has shocked the numismatic world and sent collectors into a frenzy unlike anything seen before. Because today we're uncovering the secrets of the 2004 1 cent coin, a piece of everyday pocket change that under extraordinary circumstances has been valued as high as $60 million, and yes, it sounds unbelievable, but by the time you reach the end of this story you'll understand exactly why this coin has become one of the most talked about mysteries in modern coin collecting, and how it could still be sitting unnoticed somewhere right now waiting for the right person to discover it. Now here's where things take a serious turn, because unlike older coins that gain value through age alone, the 2004 penny owes its legendary status to a combination of rare minting anomalies, production quirks, and a handful of almost myth-like error variations that were never supposed to exist, coins that slipped through quality control and entered circulation like silent jackpots. And the wildest part is that millions of these pennies were produced across different mints including Philadelphia and Denver, yet only a microscopic fraction carry the specific characteristics that make them worth a fortune, and those characteristics are what separate an ordinary 1 cent coin from a life-changing discovery. Let's break it down. During 2004 the U.S. Mint was experimenting with subtle variations in production processes. including die preparation and planchet quality, and experts believe that a limited number of coins were struck using misaligned dies, resulting in dramatic doubling effects that can be seen in the lettering and Lincoln's profile. But that's just the beginning, because some reports suggest the existence of transitional planchet errors where the metal composition doesn't perfectly match standard specifications, creating coins that not only look slightly different but also weigh differently, and these tiny inconsistencies are exactly what elite collectors obsess over, because they represent something unique, something that cannot be replicated once discovered. Now picture this scenario: someone receives a handful of change at a grocery store, tosses it into a drawer, and years later, while casually sorting through old coins, they notice something odd. Maybe the date looks slightly doubled, maybe the surface reflects light differently, or maybe it just feels different in hand, and that moment of curiosity leads them down a path that ends with authentication, auction, and potentially a payout that changes everything. That's the reality behind coins like the 2004 penny, and it's why collectors are constantly searching, constantly checking, constantly hoping to be the next person to uncover one of these hidden treasures. Auction history surrounding rare 2004 pennies has only fueled the hype, with select specimens drawing intense interest from private buyers and high-level collectors who understand just how rare these anomalies truly are. And when a coin combines multiple rare features such as strong doubling, off-center striking, and pristine condition, its value doesn't just increase, it explodes, reaching levels that seem almost unreal for something that most people would spend without a second thought. And that's the beauty and the madness of coin collecting, the idea that something so small and overlooked can hold such immense value purely because of its rarity and story. But here's something you need to keep in mind as you listen: not every 2004 penny is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are completely ordinary, and that's exactly what makes the rare ones so special, because they're hidden among billions of identical-looking coins, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for, and that someone could be you if you pay attention to the details. If you take the time to examine your coins instead of ignoring them, because the difference between a regular penny and a multimillion-dollar one often comes down to the smallest imperfections. So what should you be looking for? Start with the date and mint mark, then carefully inspect the lettering for signs of doubling, check Lincoln's face for any unusual shifts or distortions, look at the edges and alignment to see if the strike is off-center, and if anything stands out as unusual, don't dismiss it, because that slight imperfection could be the very thing that makes your coin incredibly valuable. And if you really want to take it seriously, consider using a magnifying glass or even having the coin professionally evaluated, because sometimes what looks like a minor detail to the untrained eye can be a major discovery to an expert. And as you're going through your coins, think about this: how many people have already held these rare pennies without realizing what they had? How many fortunes have slipped through fingers simply because no one took a closer look? And that's why stories like this continue to capture attention, because they remind us that opportunity doesn't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes it hides in the smallest, most ordinary around us, waiting to be noticed. Now, as we come to the end of this incredible journey into the world of the 2004 1-cent coin, one thing should be clear: this isn't just about coins, it's about awareness, curiosity, and the willingness to look closer at the things we usually ignore, because you never know what might be hiding in plain sight. And while this coin stands as a jaw-dropping example of how valuable a simple penny can become, it also leaves us with one final thought: somewhere out there right now, another rare coin is waiting to be discovered, another hidden treasure is sitting quietly in circulation, and the only question is who will find it next and realize its true worth before it disappears again into the endless flow of everyday change.